Okay, welcome back. So previously we have implemented saving to a txt file, and this time we are going to implement saving to a database. I used Access MDB as an example for this. So first of all, we will need to create a default table name. So let's create a region for private members. Okay, and here we will have a private string called mDefault table name, and let's call it table1. And I call it like this because this is the name that I have given in the template that I'm going to use. So with Access databases, you don't create them from scratch. You just create a template, like a design of the database that you want, and then you just copy and fill it programmatically. I will show you how it looks like just in a moment. So it's the default table name, which is displayed on startup. Okay, so what can we do here is okay, let's open our database. It is very simple. So we have just one table which consists of, well, 3 columns: source, target, and ID. And source is long text, target is long text, and ID is auto-numeration, which is also an indexed key. And, well, that's it. Alright, so as you see, it is empty, and what we need to do is actually implement the logic for it, for saving it. So we need to first copy the file, so file.copy, and it will be in the directory, so path get directory name, and we need to get the directory of where the assembly is. So assembly, press Ctrl dot, using system reflection dot get entry assembly, and we need its location. And after that we need to add the name of our database, which is template.mdb. So 2 backslashes and template.mdb, like this. Actually, we also need to set the extension, I guess. So destination file name, tb underscore location dot text, and we will overwrite if it already exists. So first we need to connect to a database, so connect to database, and we need to establish new OLDB connection. So var connect equals new OLEDB connection. Press Ctrl dot. Press Ctrl dot using system data OLDB. And here we need to set its connection string. So let's use string format, although I prefer string interpolation, but this will do as well. So at provider equals Microsoft.ac.oldb.12.0 semicolon data source equals a parameter that we will pass, and persist security. Actually, normally you can just Google this thing, nobody expects you to remember it. But I just see it on my phone. So info equals false and a semicolon within these two quotes. So, and here we pass the parameter, which is actually tb_location.text. Okay. So, oh, actually, no, we need to put it here. Okay, and then put it in the try catch block, because we might have a problem with the used provider, because we can have one provider and not the other. Normally you can work with Access databases when you have Microsoft Access installed, or if you install just the engine. Well, you can Google it. So yeah, we need that one, connect.open. But if it fails to open, so catch exception, most likely this is because you used the provider that you do not have, or the user does not have it. So we need just to change the connect connection string to another one. So just copy this line, put a semicolon at the end, and you will just change here Microsoft, well, Jet OLDB 4.0, which is a much older version of it. And well, the rest should be the same. So, and then you just again try connect open. So here, in most cases this will solve any issue. So then we need to create a command. So var command equals new OLDB command, and in its connection we will set the connect. Okay, and then again we put it in another try catch block. So first we try to get the table name. So var table name equals tb_table name.text, not template, text. Okay, and we check if table name does not equal mdefault table name. So command text equals string format, and here in braces you type SQL command. So add and select everything into, well, you would want to put here these two characters, because by default names accept only those strings which do not contain white spaces, because they usually mean that the next word is a command or a parameter or something else. But if you put it inside these two characters, everything here will be treated as one string. So here we will just pass the parameter, and we will select everything into a table name from and the default table name. So we do it if the table name differs from the default table name. So for example, if we changed the template and now it's not table 1 and it is now, for example, well, default table or something like that. Alright, so the parameters, table name and mdefault table name. So what we simply do here is, if the table name does not equal the default table name, first we copy the data from the old table, and then we will drop the old table. But this is just the command text. We need to execute it. So command.execute non-query. Okay, and after that we will change the command to drop the table. So command.text equals string.format. So add, and there is a command to delete a table, and that is drop table. And we will pass the name of the table to drop. So mdefault table name. Oh, actually it will differ not if we change the template. It will differ if we set another table name in our window for saving. So for example, if we type not table 1 but table 2. Alright, so and again we need to execute this command. Alright, so after that we need to iterate through all source fragments, and that will be very similar to what we have in our txt. So let's copy it first and then change as needed. So here, so iterate through all source fragments for int I equals 0, I is less. Alright, so first of all we need to get the source fragment. So var source fragment equals source fragments I, and we access its text to replace. And what we need to replace is actually sometimes you will have apostrophes in your names, and in order to process it correctly you will need to replace one apostrophe with two apostrophes for SQL, like this. So 1, 2. Okay, so and then the text, and well, this part will be the same, but we don't write a line to the file. Instead we will again change the command. So command text equals $@ insert into, and again these two characters to allow spaces. So here I will use string interpolation, table name, and then in braces I will specify what are these. So source and target. Oh, have an error here. So we insert into table two parameters, and then we need to specify their values. And again in braces, and again these two characters. Oh, actually I think we need it here as well, but I might be wrong. If I'm wrong I will have to replace it everywhere, but I think this is the one character that we need. Values, so here, well, the first value will be for source, so source fragment here. Okay, then the next one, will be second column. Okay. And it will be non-empty only if we have a target fragment. Well, just like before. And that's probably it. We only need to now execute this command. So command execute non-query. And well, you might be irritated that I do not show you how it looks in the process, and that's because, well, when you work with SQL and you try all these commands, you will end up having an endless mess. And if you have at least some knowledge of SQL, well, you will know what will work. So, well, if I didn't make any typo, it should work. So it's a simple command to fill the columns in the table. Alright, and after we have executed the command for all source fragments, we need to close the connection. So connect.close. Or you could use a using for the connect. So next we need to show a message that the database is saved. So message box dot show database saved dot. Okay, semicolon here, and we also need to close the window. So close the window. Just call the close method. And that's probably it, but it's only the try block. It can produce an error at any step. Well, so we will catch the exception. So connect.close. And believe me, you do want to put it in the try catch block and not just without it. Because, well, just imagine that the user has made a ton of work aligning all those fragments, like for a few hours, and then he tries to save the work in the database and the program just gives him an error. Well, if you are trying to sell your program, that's probably the end of your selling career. Alright, well, catch an exception. So if we catch an exception, we close the connection. It's very important because we have it at the end. And if we have an error, we will not reach it. So we need to call it manually here again. And then we need to show a message box. So message box.show, and we will just show ex.message. Then we will add a new line and our custom message like the database, and that's a pleasant thing that the database was filled up to the error. So it's not just that your all result is lost. It will be saved, but to some extent. And also let's give it a caption, so error. Alright, so I think I now can show this result. So it's an empty database. Let me again show you. And you can get this template either from my GitHub or create an empty database in Microsoft Access. But just for your convenience, I will also upload it to my GitHub repository. So we have a table called table1, and that's why I say that this is the default name, just because I defined it in my, well, database. So we have 0 entries here, as you see, just the 2 columns and the ID column as well. Alright, so let's try to fill the database. Sometimes building takes a lot of time, and I just wonder whether all those questionnaires when Visual Studio asks about performance. Do they actually like pay any attention to what I write there, or are they just like mimicking the work that my opinion matters and stuff? Alright, so let's align these fragments, and I specifically want them to be different numbers. So let's save a database. Okay, well, test database, and let's search words. I specifically wanted to include white spaces to test whether it can actually save with them. Okay, save, and the table name will also contain a white space, so table 1, we have a white space here. So let's save. No value given for one or more required parameters. The database was filled up to 0. Alright, let's see what happened. So we have it here. It's filled a bit. It saved it with, so we don't have error with the table name, and we don't have error with the database name. But where is the error? Well, at least it did not crash. Alright, let's inspect it. Although it will be very hard because it's not native C#. Well, where do we drop it? Here. Alright, let's try from here. So drop it, save. So we iterate through, we get the source fragment, it's text 1, second column, insert into, maybe it can be here. Yes, the problem is there. Alright, let's find out. So insert into source target. Did I not close a parenthesis? Oh, you know, I think I should use here actually these apostrophes. Maybe. I can't really say, but let's try it. Oh, and forgive me for my lazy voice, I just had a very long day and it does not seem to end. Alright, so save. Now let's overwrite. Test. Okay, table 1. Okay. So do we have it right? Yeah. Now we don't have a problem with this. So I think we can now launch it. Database saved. Alright. So test. Okay. And there we have our values. And these are empty because we don't have target fragments. Alright, so that's how you create, well, you know that you don't create an Access database, you just copy it. You make the template, but then you copy the template and fill it. And you can change the name of the database and the name of the table and fill the column values. So thank you for watching, and well, see you next time. Goodbye.